and welcome everyone. I'm Stephen Goldberg of Optimist Performance, bringing you practical tips and ideas on leadership, team development, and employee performance in the workplace. And as you can see, I have a special guest. He might make me disappear in this sequence or trick me into saying something I don't want to say. And it's Jonathan Pritchard, sorry. He's the founder of Zyant Enterprises and the author of multiple books focused on the power of applied psychology. For 15 plus years, he toured the world and continues to do so as a mentalist, which is a type of entertainer specializing in apparently reading minds, predicting the future, instant hypnosis, and other impossible skills. I can't wait. Eventually, he realized his talents could do more than entertain people, and that's when he began consulting for the world's largest companies. Currently, he is brought in to share his secrets with sales teams, delivery teams, and anyone else who needs to deliver results in high-stake environments. While not on the road, you can find him at home in the mountains of North Carolina with his family. Well, welcome, Jonathan. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on.
What's the weather like up in the mountains now in North Carolina?
It got chilly. It was about 17 degrees yesterday morning. It was 20 something
Wow,
today. I love it.
good. That is pretty cool. Similar weather to what we're having. So I want to talk about what you do and how it can benefit people listening, perhaps business owners, leaders, executives, managers. Tell me about the type of customer that in the corporate world that comes to you seeking your expertise and assistance in solving a particular problem.
You got it. That it is a broad spectrum because I help in a couple different ways. One is on the messaging for kind of outward facing information and website and marketing and that kind of a thing. There was one client of mine last year who their client list was Amazon, NASA, SpaceX. Right?
Wow.
Remember when all of Elon's rockets would just crash, all of them? Well, what was happening was there's so much information about where the rocket is in space and the wind and its trajectory. All that telemetry data needs to be crunched so fast and processed so that the onboard computers can tell the rocket thrusters and nozzles what to do so that the rocket lands properly. It literally is rocket science combined with really high-tech computational power. And SpaceX hadn't figured it out. My client, their product, plugged it in and it can compute all that data super fast. And suddenly, hey, look at that. The rockets aren't crashing as often. And they're so good at what they do in such a highly technical field that they got lost in the weeds of what it is that they do and how, that they couldn't explain it to anybody who's not a technical engineer or a computer scientist with 20 years experience in that very specific niche.
Right.
So they were finding it was very difficult for them to find new clients who could understand that they could help them at the scale that they could help them. Because if you got a couple of their data management solutions, you could theoretically not build an entire data warehouse. So you wouldn't have to buy new land. You wouldn't have to spend millions building an entire building. You wouldn't have to heat and cool it. You wouldn't have to hire the people to manage that data center and also buy all those server racks that'll be outdated in 2 years. Why not overhaul the one you already have to make it 4 to 5 times as efficient? You just saved $1 billion over the next 5 years today. So they didn't know how to say something that simple. They're just like, oh, our data management and RAID set up. And I would have no idea that you could have saved me billions of dollars. So basically, my job in that function is to be a professional idiot. It's like, all right, I assume I know nothing because I don't. So give me all your nerd speak, everything. And then I will ingest it. I'll ask you a bunch of stupid questions until I can get it. Then I'll explain it in normal terms that my mom would be able to understand. That'll still be super accurate, and your technical folks will be happy with it. But it now will help your ideal customer recognize, oh, these are the guys that I need to hire for my project. So that's kind of the main focus. And I also help do that for companies that exhibit at trade shows, because that's kind of where marketing and sales and live events all come together, where that company might do $1 billion of new business deals from the relationships that they built in that 3 days. But if you don't know how to maximize your surface area for making new connections from the booth, you're missing out on all that new business. So most people who exhibit at trade shows don't recognize how to do that at scale. So that's kind of taking that same insight and applying it to that dimension. So it's just all about recognizing where breakdowns of communication are frustrating the company in some way, and then helping them get a lot clearer on how to make that go away with better scripting, better tempo, better delivery skills. There's all sorts of levers that you can pull on that front.
So it's really involves like kind of the selling process, because unless you can get your prospects to clearly understand what's in it for them in a language that's simple. I mean, obviously, the higher up in a company, the directors or leaders are most concerned with what's this going to do to the bottom line of my company, not technically what it's going to do, because they may not understand that. They may have engineers or people that do understand that, but they're not the decision makers. Am I correct in my assumption here?
Right, right. And to me, I don't see a big silo between a lot of what a lot of people think are different things, from branding to marketing to sales to delivery. If you can unify the messaging across all of those, then you have much better customer relationships and your bottom line improves because you're reducing your churn. You have fewer upset clients who should have never been a client in the first place. So, how do you get your sales team to close most of their leads without closing a dud just because they wanted to hit their numbers? Well, make sure that they never get those duds to deal with in the first place. So now you're talking about marketing, and your marketing, there are more people in the world that you should never work with than people you should work with. So weirdly, your marketing should push people away more than it draws them in, because statistically speaking, it's more likely that the wrong person's going to get in. A buddy of mine blew my mind with that when we were doing a show together and we got a bad review. And instead of, well, how do we fix the show? How do we do this? His approach was, they should have never been in the audience in the first place. They thought it was this, and we're that. So what did we do in our marketing that made them think we were this instead of what we actually are? So we dropped the ball in our marketing by not helping that person realize they should never buy a ticket to come see us. And that goes into your branding, which is your DNA of, what do I want people to say after they've experienced my business? Whether it's marketing materials or talking to my sales team or talking with delivery team. And then that's how at the executive level, where your focus is more about the profitability and limiting liability, you're literally invested in making that business more efficient, more successful. Whereas people who are on salary or hired to do the job have a completely different mindset about what business is. Business is I do this thing, I do my job, I get the paycheck. And those are two completely different worlds, but it's all centered around we're motivated for our own reasons. And making this business successful makes us both the executive and the paid employee. We can both get everything that we want as long as we both help this company be more successful by giving it our best.
I'll give you a little story. Maybe you can give insight into this. And this is probably other people, business owners or directors who are listening may relate to this. I met with a company yesterday locally here who the director of a factory of about 200 people making some type of clothing. And his concern is that the employees don't want to participate in meetings to discuss ideas for improvement. They just keep saying, well, I don't want to do that. I just want to do my job and that's it. I don't want to, get involved in these types of activities. It's not my job. How would you suggest dealing with this from a communication standpoint when you have people that are stuck in just this is what I want to do and I don't want to change?
Yeah, that isn't that the problem. That seems to be the problem for every business since the dawn of time, because it's a question about motivation. and
Exactly.
and to help people understand this, I'll shine light on how magic tricks work. And weirdly, it's exactly the same thing, really. Because
Explain that.
when I was a kid, 5, 6 years old, I would read a magic book. It reads like a recipe. Get these ingredients, do this with them, and put it in the oven for 10 minutes, and out comes amazement. That's really it. Here's what to do, here's what to say, and voila, magic trick. And I would do it, and my dad would be like, I saw what you did there, Jonathan. That wasn't, you need to practice some more. Right. And I realized that it's not just doing the right thing at the right time, it's also you have to do it in the right way. And the right way to do magic is to understand your audience and their perspective of what they're seeing from where they're standing or sitting or experiencing this. So a successful magician focuses only on the perspective of the audience. And I mean that like in a literal way, especially with big illusions. If you're using a big mirror or something sneaky like that, well, I need to know if the person sitting over there can see from that angle how the whole thing's working. So the top priority is understanding the perspective of your audience.
So how do you do
That's
that? How does, let's say, this case here I just bringing to you, um, how does the director, the managers uh, address, use that approach in this
right.
case? How would they do that?
Yeah, most of the time, managers and directors are saying, this is good for the company, this is good for me, do it. And they haven't sold
Right.
that idea to the employees because the manager doesn't take time to understand the perspective of the employees. They don't know what the employees want. They don't know why the employees show up to work. And now the manager is saying, help me out, help me make this more profitable so I get more money. And the employees are like, it's not my job to do your job for you, guy. Right. Like that's the fundamental breakdown of communication there.
Exactly. That's what's happening. Yeah.
So the challenge is understanding motivation. And there are 3 secrets of motivation. First one is you can't motivate anybody. Second one is everybody's motivated. Third, for their own reasons. it's hard work. This sounds like hard work because it is. So you have to ask every single person, why do you show up at work? What's going on at home? What's your main motivation? Are you working so that you can go on vacation once a year, that you've got your dream cruise that you want? Do you have a sick mom that you're taking care of and having to help supplement the Medicaid? Like, what's going on? And just like a participant who comes up on stage with me when I'm doing a more entertainment focused kind of thing, public speaking and being in front of an audience is the number one fear of most people on planet Earth. So they have to trust me that I'm not going to make fun of them. I'm not going to make them look stupid in front of their friends. So I invite them up on stage, and I have to have earned that trust for them to join me up on stage. And I have to honor that trust in everything that I say, everything that I do. And from a leadership standpoint, you can ask for that kind of thing. But if the person you're talking with doesn't believe that you genuinely care about them and their honesty, you're not going to get an honest answer. So you have to be able to be trusted with their truth in order to get the honest insights. So once you understand what somebody has going on in their life that makes them show up to work, it's your job to help them understand that doing a good job with this company is your best strategy for making all the things that you want to have happen outside of work. Doing a great job at your job is the best way to accomplish all of that. And we could help you even more if you can help figure out how to solve this problem that you're facing in your day to day. And we've also considered this might be a big challenge, and that's keeping you from being able to hit your numbers to get that bonus so that you can go on your cruise in 6 months instead of 12 months. Right? So it's really, really tough work because every single person has their own reason. And then you have to understand it from their perspective, then communicate the outcome that you need for the company in terms of how it will help them get what they want. So that's why it's a ruthless focus on what do you need to get out of this? What do you want? And how can I help you get it by helping me accomplish my goal? So that's why you have to be 1000% focused on them and what they care about, and then be able to communicate the outcomes in terms of, and this will help you accomplish all of that. Not a single person cares what it's going to do for you. Nobody. They all want to know, well, how's this going to make my life better? And you've got to work to figure that out.
So how would then, I love what you're saying because it aligns completely with my thinking and also my leadership training, just like that whole thing about knowing your employee, building that trust through your leadership actions and behavior. Obviously, the famous expression, I can hear what you're saying because your actions speak louder than words, right? We all have heard that in some form of another. So how would practically a manager, like you have the director, you have the managers, and then you have the employees, how would the managers effectuate that process in terms of understanding each person and being able to assure that there's that trust in place so they can then communicate what they need to communicate and make it interesting for that employee to, change their perspective or modify their perspective.
That's why I like the phrase servant leadership so much, because growing up, before I really got into business and I heard about these things called managers and bosses and that kind of thing, it was always a do this or you're fired. right? That's kind of the approach that that was in my head, the kind
Right.
of
The
cartoon
more
idea.
autocratic approach. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm
Like,
the
I'm the
boss
boss.
and
I'm telling you what to do,
yeah.
and I pay you to do it. So get started. And that can work to a certain extent with a certain person. Like, okay, sure. I don't want to talk to those people. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to work with them. Good luck. But the servant leadership, it flips everything on its head, which is my sole job is to get rid of anything and everything that's between you and getting your job done. My job is helping you get a bigger payday to help take care of your family. And if, as a leader, I show that through my actions and providing the tools that my team needs to accomplish this, whether it's a physical tool or an electronic system, or our CRM is from 1997 and I'm too cheap to upgrade to Salesforce, or whatever that looks like. If, as a manager, I'm going to bat for my team to solve all of their frustrations and all of their challenges so that they realize we are really pampered. They've taken care of everything. All I have to do is show up and do what I'm good at. I love this job. This is fantastic. Then, as a manager, when I say, is there anything else I can do for you? Is there something that you're frustrated by? What's going on? You're going to get the answers you need because you've shown that the honest answers receive good faith replies and positive actions that result in changing things. Because, I mean, how many times have you seen it when you get brought in as the high paying consultant and you're going, here's how we do this, here's the system, it's very simple, step 1, 2, 3, awesome. And you can tell that leadership is not bought in and they don't care. And you're just now the high paid scapegoat. Well, we tried everything. We brought in the high paid consultant guy and said that, and nothing has changed. It's like, yeah, because you haven't changed. You haven't shown up different. You keep doing the same stuff and expecting different results. We all know how that quote goes. So why even bring me in the first place? So that's why it all starts at the top and goes down from there. And if you're thinking, how can I make these people do this? You've got it exactly backwards. You've got to show up on what can I do to make your life better, and then actually go do that. And suddenly you'll have loyalty like you've never seen before, and your team will go above and beyond to help you get done what you need done.
So in other words, the business owner, in this case, the director, would need to um, build that stronger, trusting relationship with each manager and understand what their motivations are, and then explain what he needs from them and how they're going to win. And then they got to duplicate that with their employees.
Right, right. Because, Simon Sinek, start with why. And here's why we do things. We believe this, we believe that, has created a bizarre dynamic in a lot of companies because there's the stated value and then there's the real value. And that's the I can't hear what you're saying because your actions speak louder than your words. Or in the world of kung fu, I don't care what you're saying to me. I'm going to watch what your body does. And you're trying to punch me in the face, even as you say, oh, we're friends. So which one's going to hurt me more? Listening to what you say is going to get me hurt. Watching what you do is going to keep me safe. Okay. So in a corporate dynamic, oh, we're dedicated to honesty and open communication, but then you're punished for saying there's a problem in the system. So there's the stated values that look good on marketing materials, but then how does it actually run? And that is dictated by the owners. And then it goes down to the executive board who chooses the executive team leadership, down to the managers. So that's why it's a top down kind of issue of what are the real values that govern decision making, and that will be the company culture you create, right? So that's why it is essential that the highest of the high live the values that they want in their company. And in that middle size, from we went from a small team of 10 and now we're 100, we're 200. I talk with a lot of business owners about marketing stuff, and a lot of those business owners are the bottleneck because they were used to it for so long, and they use I'm the decision maker as a source of feeling significant and feeling important, that they now are the bottleneck for any kind of change because they're so set in, well, here's how I did it when I was the salesperson. Here's how I did it when I was the delivery person. And now they've hobbled the entire business because all decisions have to go through me. And now you aren't valuing autonomy. You aren't valuing innovation. You're not valuing the insights of the very smart people we've hired. Right? That's the Steve Jobs thing. We hire smart people to tell us what to do. Okay, well, that's awesome. And you say that's what you want to do, but now you're changing everything that they do. You're making them go through, right? So that's why communication is the fundamental thing, and why so many business owners are so wrapped up in their identity of I'm the person that makes the decisions about the boots on the ground things, that keep them from being able to set the business free to succeed without their direct involvement or interference, is really what it winds up looking like.
So, yeah, you've covered a lot there, which is dear to my heart and my thoughts. Um, so, but I want to go back to this manager employee motivation thing. And how would then you have a manager in a factory who's never sat down and really spoken to the employee other than for what they should or shouldn't be doing, and now he wants them to shift to participate a little bit in some decision making or improvement ideas. How would he using a communication approach, a better communication approach, start that conversation? What in your mind would it look like? How would you approach it?
A lot of it looks like small talk. Hey,
Right,
how's it going? How are the kids? How's
right,
your wife?
right.
How's your mom doing? And getting to know each other as people. And that's the start, is that small talk, really. My dad worked in a factory, 14-hour days. Was something like 4 days on, 3 days off, 4 days on, 3 days off. So it was a lot for him, standing on concrete for more than 12 hours a day, every day. And then they had a bounty system in place. Hey, if you come up with an idea that helps us out and makes your job easier, awesome. Here are the tiers of how big an impact it makes. Here's the payday. And my dad's a really smart guy. He overhauled a lot of their systems, and it got to be really expensive for the company paying him for the improvements that he was making. So it was a case of dollar smart, penny foolish. So they took the bounty system away. And my dad was like, all right, they're not going to pay me for my ideas. They'll never hear it.
So they
I would rather.
created probably a resentful, dedicated employee with great ideas.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But then when they took that away, be like, sorry guys, this is too expensive. You're coming up with too many good ideas. Like, that's something an insane person would say. So my dad was like, all right, well, I'm going to keep all these ideas to myself. And the job already sucks because it's a really tough factory job. It's not like it was cushy and now it's bad. So I'm just going to live with how it is because there's no value in sharing those ideas. So if you set up an environment where those ideas are not valued, you won't get that equal exchange of value.
Okay.
So if you don't have a reward system or you don't put those good ideas into play, you're very quickly going to see that the good ideas dry up. So
Right.
it can't just be, hey, we're buddies. Why don't you help me figure out how to do this better? Sometimes it really is as simple as, I'll pay you for a good idea that you've got. And then people go, yeah, yeah, I've got great ideas. Here you go. And suddenly you can't keep track of them all.
So some people, I'm thinking of these managers, are better than others at building a relationship with their direct employees, to ask them about their family and showing that they care or genuinely care, not just
Yeah. Yeah.
acting as if they care. What about those that it's more of a struggle for them to, the more task focused manager that just cares about people doing their job and doesn't want to interact with them on a more human, interpersonal level? How do you deal with that from your perspective? Do you just change them, or but how do you do that if they've been there for 20 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I promise this is a real answer. I'm not a clown. I'm not a juggler. And while I can juggle, I could twist balloon animals. It's not what I'm fascinated by. I am fascinated by the human mind and how it works and how people make decisions and how to make that work in business and stuff, right? So, why in the world would you hire me to be a clown? Why would you hire me to be a juggler? Those are things I could do, but it's not what lights me up. So, most of the time, managers get promoted, right, to their level of incompetence
Absolutely.
because they were effective at the skill of this particular job
Right.
and building relationships with other human beings to a successful business outcome is a completely different skill set.
Yeah.
And if you've got somebody who doesn't know how to do that, nor wants to learn how to do that, you've put somebody in the wrong place for your business. If they've been there for 20 years, you've done incalculable damage to your business. And you won't even know what that is because you couldn't have seen the benefit of having the right person in the right place because you haven't had the right person in the right place for so long. Right. So it's kind of like, oh man, how many times do you have people tell you, oh, the way it's working right now is perfectly fine for us, but you know for a fact that that system is costing them 90% of leads to never even reach out or whatever it is. It's the oh, the Sherlock Holmes story about the dog not barking is the clue that it was somebody from the household that stole all the jewels and that kind of thing. So we don't notice what's not there.
Right.
So missing out on a lot of business, you can't even imagine what you're missing out on, right? And I see that from the trade show thing. Oh, we bring a team of 4 salespeople and they talk to people in the booth, and oh, we got a couple of jobs out of it. It was great, and they can't even fathom the possibility of getting 5 times that much business from one show by hiring one person, me. That doesn't even compute in their universe that that's possible. So it all boils down to having the right person in the right job because they're inherently fascinated and driven by their curiosity to get better at that job. So go hire the right person, put the right person in the right place, and set them free to be who they are. And suddenly things get so much easier.
Yeah, it's music to my ears because that's been my mantra, and hire the right person, provide the right training for the job, and provide the right leadership and strategic direction, and you're off to the races. But so many times, and I actually sell a psychometric assessment that helps you align people with a model for the job, a performance model. You could see who fits well and who doesn't. And, that's my recipe. So hearing it from you is fantastic. Um, it's wonderful. Let's go back for a moment then to what you were saying at the beginning about the how to communicate what you do so that it resonates with someone who's a decision maker, a customer. Um, how would you articulate, in my case, I could easily say I sell leadership and team development training workshops, but how could I articulate that better to resonate with a medium-sized business owner?
That's a really sharp question, and the first thing that comes to my mind on how to answer that is kind of with a imagine you're trying to find a good dentist, and the dentist says, you're paying me to use this top of the line scraper, and I've got this other really cool machine. So many people focus on the how they deliver that they completely ignore what they're delivering. And that happens all the time, especially in the tech world. Tech entrepreneurs figure out how to make this silicon chip do wizard stuff. Holy cow, that's incredible. And then they're talking about, oh, my Samiflange 3000 can compute teraflops of a bajillion D per second. Like, that sounds impressive. I don't understand how that's going to make my life better. So, selling workshops, providing training, that's how you deliver the results that they're hiring you for. But they're hiring you for the results, not the way you got them. If you could wear a pink onesie and dance the hokey pokey and accomplish the same thing, they wouldn't care. They'd be like, great, fire up the music, let's get started. So it doesn't matter how you deliver those results. So you can't use that as the way to help your perfect client realize that they need you. Like, I do workshops. Okay, of what? For who? And what's, I don't know. So you have to use the formula of what they care about, like what your ideal client cares about. So it's pretty simple. I help my ideal client to accomplish or avoid this benefit or drawback without perceived difficulty. That's it. I help medium to big companies that exhibit more than twice a year at trade shows to get 2 to 5 times as much business from every single trade show without having to bring more personnel. Oh, my company does exhibit at trade shows. Oh, well, we don't exhibit 2 times, we exhibit 8 times. Is that enough? You're like, absolutely, yeah, cool. So you just kind of, you have to put it in there. Don't bury the lead, and don't assume that people know what all that means. You have to be able to explain it to a perfect stranger in 10 seconds and them go, yeah, that's us. Instead of, well, we have hired some workshops before, so what kind of workshop is it? And now they're confused.
Cool. So it's kind of like the same thing as we talked about for the manager employee, is you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes, understand what their pain point is or where the opportunities, and articulate it in a way that will sell them on what you do or what you could bring to them to achieve that result that they care about.
Yeah, the best way to do that is to explain their situation better than they can.
Okay.
And I don't mean like solve their problem. I mean using the words that they would use to describe what they're frustrated by. And you can do that better, faster, more accurately than they did. Suddenly they go, this guy knows exactly what we're going through. And that's the magic phrase. I couldn't have said it better myself. So think of it like you're a doctor. The doctor listens to you say what your problem is, but it's not your problem. You're describing symptoms that are the result of an underlying problem that you don't understand. All you can do, the best you could do, is say what's bothering you right now. My nose is running. I got a sore throat. I'm upset that I've got a headache. Though that's not my problem. Those are the results of having my problem. If I knew what my problem was, I would have healed myself already and I would never have to come to the doctor's office. But by virtue of me having the problem long enough for me to not be able to solve it means I don't know what's going on.
Right.
You know what's going on because this is your thing. This is what you cure every day, all day. This is your specialty. But you're not going to get your client to understand that you can help them if you jump into, oh, I'm going to put you in this machine. I'm going to push these buttons. I'm going to do all this stuff. No, you have to listen to their problems and then go, let me see if I'm hearing you right. You've got a runny nose. You've got a scratchy throat that started about a day and a half later. You've got a headache, and that started about 3 days after that. And also, has this other thing been happening too? And you're like, yeah, it has. And you're like, oh, and this other thing. They go, are you telling me that's connected too? And you're like, oh, yeah. Okay, yep. Now you're the only person in the world that they're going to pay to solve their problem. So notice I didn't say, oh, you've got a bad case of whatever. I'm simply describing their situation in their words better than they did. And now they go, he understands my problem. He understands my situation. He understands my frustrations. He's the only person in weeks that I know he knows what I'm talking about. How easy is that sale going to be? How easy is it going to get them to get on board with your mission? It's super easy, right? But most people think they understand. Most people think they hear, and then they say, I understand your problem, and then move on. And what have we already gone over? Talk is cheap. Show me you understand. Don't just tell me you understand. Demonstrate that you understand by bringing it to 20 seconds when it took me 20 minutes to tell you everything. You said it in 20 seconds. Holy cow. This guy, you're good. You're amazing. I couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, cool. Yeah, based on all of that, that's exactly the problem that we solve. We can get rid of that tomorrow. What do you want to know?
Fantastic.
Right?
So just to rephrase that, so make sure I understand and the listeners get to know the person that you're wanting to persuade or sell, understand what they're experiencing and what you can do to solve the problem, and then articulate it back to them so that they see that you understand. And then there's that confidence and trust that you're the right person to work with, or that you
Right. And
care about their and understand their situation.
right. And now they have enough context to understand that what you're about to say next is super important.
So that really applies to both selling or marketing, obviously, and to leadership, because we're constantly needing to build or manage or the motivation of people towards a specific outcome. And the same thing with sales.
Right, right. And just kind of like your psychometric is your recipe, there's a 7-step persuasion formula. Sounds kind of nerdy, but it is a formula. It is a process. You do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You've persuaded somebody. You cannot skip steps. If you do, good luck.
And
So
is that something people can access through you, or?
yeah, I'll lay it out because it's so simple. Nobody's good at it
Okay.
because they think they're good at it already and they're not, which is hilarious to me. So this is my formula, super straightforward. And step 1 is here's what they think the problem is, right? So if you're the doctor, this is in terms of the doctor thinking about the client, right? Okay. So my client thinks this is the problem. Step 2, here's why you think this is the problem, right? Here's your worldview that explains your problem as the source of the problem, right? So step 1, here's what the problem is. Here's why you think it's the problem. Here's what you think the problem is. Here's why you think you have this problem. Then step 3 is here's the real problem. 4, here's why it's the real problem. 5, here's the real solution. 6, here's why it's the real solution. And then 7, based on all of that, here's the next step. So you never say, so you think you've got this problem. It's not that at all. It's being able to, it's called theory of mind, being able to envision the mind of the person you're talking to. What are their experiences? What are their assumptions? What's their perspective? What are they coming to me already believing? Where are they right now? So how can I go meet them? So when they think, here's the problem, it's not the problem, it's the symptoms. And here's why you think these symptoms are the root issue because of this, that, and the other thing. So you have to demonstrate a full knowledge and understanding and mastery of their entire worldview better than they understand themselves. So here's what you're thinking. Here's what you're going through. Here's what you're facing. Here are the challenges. Here's what you've tried. Here's why it didn't work. Here's your situation the way that you explained it to me, right? And they go, holy cow, I couldn't have said that better myself. Those are the first 2. Now they're on board with you because they go, this dude's clearly the expert on this. You don't even need to go any farther. They're already like, holy cow, this guy's amazing. So then you go, well, your real problem, or you go, all of this that you're experiencing, in my experience, can be explained by this detail. Is this something that's showing up in your life, in your business? Oh my God, yeah. You go, yeah. So that explains all the things you're experiencing because it leads to this, it leads to that, it leads to this, which creates this symptom. And point by point, you show them why your model explains and predicts more about their situation than the way they understand things can ever possibly do.
Cool. That's amazing. I love that 7-step. It's just so aligned with professional consultative selling. That's really the process to go from discovery to persuasion and
Right.
get to work with the person. Fantastic. I
Right.
love it.
Right. So those 7 steps can be done in a couple sentences.
Right.
It can be very quick, but it can also span 3 months worth of due diligence and discovery and presentations and strategy development and proposals and negotiation of final steps. It shows up, it's a fractal thing. It shows up at every conversation and through the whole process. So it's amazing once you see it. It's kind of like the Matrix. You're like, oh, I suddenly understand why I lost all that enterprise business because I was going, well, here's your real problem. I skipped 1 and 2 and jumped straight to the solution. Oh, I violated the laws of thermodynamics of persuasion. I didn't go 1 through 7. I went straight to 6. Okay, I get it.
Fantastic. I love it. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't that you'd like to share with the audience?
Not really. I really enjoy you picking my brain and leading the show. There really isn't, because I got to talk about stuff that I'm super fired up about, and hopefully by now folks that are still listening could understand how I might be able to help them with their business or trade shows or sales teams and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think you did a great job of setting me off like a great setting for a diamond. So
Thank you.
great job. Thank you.
You're welcome. I learned a lot. You shared some great information. I'm definitely going to play this back and write down those steps to persuasion and follow them from now on. I think it's a great, maybe I'll even make a cheat sheet and share it with people so they could download it. Do you have any free value added tools that people can access on your website?
For sure. And again, this is literal. This isn't a tongue-in-cheek thing. One of my fundamental beliefs is learning how to perform a magic trick will teach you more about being an effective communicator than anything else on planet Earth. You can go to 4 years of college for communication skills and not learn as much as being able to pull off a simple magic trick with your friends. So if you sign up for my email list, I'll teach you a super simple, easy to do. I learned it when I was 6 years old, and I'm still performing it when I'm 40 years old because of just how darn good it is. So it's not difficult to learn, but it's incredibly impressive. And that's part of
Are
the
you able
secret
to
sauce.
perform it on camera now? Too
No, because it
complicated.
is a thing that uses playing cards for your
Okay.
friends to shuffle it and that kind of thing. But it's very simple, straightforward, easy to do. So when you sign up and confirm, I'm actually a human being, I do want to hear from you. After you've confirmed, that'll take you to that page where that video is waiting on you.
Okay, so I'm going to put links to that in the description of the video, obviously with your website. And
Thank you.
so that's on your website, or you're going to send me that link?
Yeah, the easiest thing to do is to go to icanreadminds.com,
Okay.
and then the email sign up that's all over there. They all point to the same email list.
Okay, so I'll put a link to that in the description. I'm going to
Oh, thank
sign
you.
up for that because I remember I've been thinking actually about using some developing a card trick to do with people I meet at like networking events to be able to engage in deeper conversation. And I remember I've been through many train the trainer courses, and one of them is this man who I've referred to in many videos, Tyagi, who's a great, very bright man and teaches trainers how to facilitate. And he used a lot of card tricks in his facilitation. And I was very impressed by, I saw the effectiveness of that. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to sign up for that. Looking forward to that.
that's
Well,
great.
that's
That's
great.
great.
Jonathan, it was really a great conversation. My final question, how many times did you hypnotize me to ask the right questions?
I didn't have to do a thing. You
Yeah,
hypnotized yourself. It
yeah.
was very easy.
Well, you were great to interview. I learned a lot, as I said, and I'm looking forward to that magic trick that I can learn. So thank you so much for being here. Best of continued success. And you were on American Idol, I think, or American
Oh, yeah, America's
Got
Got
Talent.
Talent. Yeah,
Yeah,
I entertained Howard Stern, Heidi Klum, Mel
oh yeah,
B, and Howie Mandel. I
right.
got 3 out of 4 yeses, so I consider that a win.
Okay. Maybe I
Yeah,
saw you and I don't remember, but I used to love the magic segments on that as well. Some
yeah,
great
it's
talent.
fun. Yep.
So thank you again for everyone listening. I'll put links in the description. You could access your free magic trick and see how you can incorporate that to improve your communication.